Everybody, welcome to week 2 of Secret Formulas. This is our strategy sessions on a Friday or a Thursday night, depending where you are in the world. So, guys, last week, what we covered, I just want to go to that slide first in case you weren't here. This is secret formula number 1 that we covered last week. So last week we talked about, here's Zosha, we talked about who is your dream customer, identifying who your avatar is, and we talk about that a lot. We talked about where they congregate, where they hang out in the internet, where they lurk in little groups. And then we talked about how you bait them and how you attract them. And then we talked about the result that we can give them. We're not talking about the product that we're trying to sell to them. We're actually talking about the actual result. Is it sleep? Is it better digestion? Is it lower anxiety? That's what we talked about last week. So if you weren't here last week and you haven't watched the recording yet, just, Yvonne's coming, just make sure that you jump into our recording. I'll post this again today as well. And you can go back and look at the formula number 1. But today, what we want to talk about is the secret formula number 2. And today we're going to talk about the attractive character. And this is really working on your brand. And a lot of the time when we get started, guys, we spend so much time looking at colors and looking at fonts, don't we? And looking at templates and all those things that really make us stuck. But what we really need to do is work out our voice. So today we're talking about the attractive character really means your brand. Yeah. So if we go through, I'll just move our heads out of the way. If we go through this slide here, so the attractive character is the thing that binds people to your community. It's really your voice, your character. What makes you different? So if I'm selling oils and Zosh is selling oils like we are, what makes us different? What is Zosh's attractive character? And to me, she has so many attractive qualities. Yeah. And so then as that person, it's how you feel confident and how you bring that out in everything that you write. Yeah. And so that's what we're talking about today. And so they come in looking, they being the customer, they come in looking for a result, but they stay because of the relationship with you. So maybe we're talking about like a little opt-in and click on this to get my 10 secrets to sleeping. And so they opt in, you give them something because they gave you their email address. You want to give them like an ebook or something. Yeah. And so they're now in your hub. And what you want to do is warm them up so that they get to know you and like you and trust you. And this is the reason why they stay, because they get used to and they get to like and trust your attractive character. Yeah. This may be new terminology to people. It was for me. I'm actually going through studying this at the same time so I can apply this at the same time into building a new website and my new funnels. So what I'm trying to do is master all the knowledge by teaching it to you guys as well. And so I'm trying to run away and find all the good information and bring it back to you. So the third point here is a brand is the image and the personality that the business applies to its offers. That's really important because a lot of the time we get stuck on the brand is just the logo and the colors and the design. But what we want, this is really important. That's why I made it bold. So a brand is the image and the personality. That's really important. The personality that the business applies to its offers. Yeah. So there always has to be an offer if you want to make money through your business. And that's why we're here. Yeah. We're business owners. We don't want it just to be a hobby. So I don't have my eye on the chat. So if there's anything that we need to talk about, just let me know. And if you've got any questions, please just jump in. Yeah, jump in. So the attractive character is the brand that you apply to the offers to increase their value even more. So Tiffany selling Serenity on Tuesday, yeah, on our call on Monday night. I'm selling Serenity. What's the difference? The difference is, well, the product is the same, but the difference is our attractive character and our personality that we bring to that offer for the customer. Yeah. So that's what the attractive character is. Now, the attractive character, we need to write that into everything we do in our funnel. So we need to bring our personality into everything we do in our funnel. So the attractive character is broken into 3 sections, and talking a little bit fast because there's a lot to cover. So there's three areas here. So the first area is elements. And the second area is identity. And the third is the storyline. And a lot of this information's not going to be new to you. We cover it quite a lot in our doTERRA land, but sometimes it's in a bit of a different word or a different language. And so let's look at, there's always got to be a stick figure drawing. I like stick figure drawings. So the attractive character, 3 areas. So we're going to concentrate on the elements first. And so there's 4 areas there: the backstory, the parable, the character flaw. That's a really good one. And how we polarize people, the polarity. So that's the first section. Then there's identity and storylines. We'll come back to that soon, yeah? So let's dive into the attractive character elements. And we talked about there's 4 elements here. I don't want to fire hose you as well, so we'll slow down in a minute. But remember, this is all about branding, and it's all about bringing your character to everything that you say online. Yeah, whether it's a Facebook post, whether it's a funnel that you're building, whether you're building your website, anything, Instagram, this will really help you to hone your story and make it really clear who you're talking to. And we've talked a lot through Deb in the Head and lots of other courses that we've done about finding your avatar. This is like another step of that. It's going a little bit deeper into finding your ideal customer. So the backstory is what we're talking about here. And remember, this falls under the attractive character elements. So 4 elements of an attractive character. One is that they have a backstory. So attractive characters have a backstory and they share it often. So I was there with you. I know what you've been through. Yeah. So they have a backstory and a history. So people won't care about any success you've had, and they won't follow your advice until they know that you were there where they are going through now. So often we say that your ideal avatar is you, yeah? You 3, 4, 5 years ago. So because you know how to talk to that person. So if you stand in front of the mirror and you look in the mirror and you're thinking, like, who is my ideal customer? It's really you. A lot of the time it's you a few years ago, yeah? So you know what you've been through. You know how to get that person to where you are now. Zosh?
I was just going to say, because I've been working on this week. So
Yeah.
there's been, the way I've sort of done this is I've got lots of Post-its, and I've just put all the stories and all the things that have, because there's been so many. And also when I've thought about who I'm directing this to, I've got a couple of different people. I might have big corporate groups that I'm also, wanting to sort of draw in,
Yeah.
without necessarily getting them to have an opt-in initially, right? And what's been handy is to just put everything out visually, only because I'm very visual, and because sometimes you forget and you think about, the past, and you put it all there, and then just to look at it, and then the next day, what I do is arrange it together in clumps. To sort of say, okay, well, this is this story, and that time, and then you sort of choose. Now that's where I'm sort of at.
Josh, do you find that really helps you to bring your story together, like when you see it visually?
Yeah, because otherwise I forget what I've done, if that makes sense. And I sort of go, oh, that's right, there's that subgroup of people, and am I talking to them? And it's not that I want to talk to everybody, but it's just that that's a massive community that I'm missing out on if I only direct to the single person or to that one person.
Yeah. And I guess too, through this conversation too, when you're starting to market yourself online and do like a funnel, you don't just have to have one funnel. And the beautiful thing with doTERRA is that we have the customer side and we have the business side. So to begin with, you can already have 2 funnels. Do you like that? 2 funnels, visual display, everybody. So you have 2 funnels. So one for your customer and you can have one for your business. So that's a great mindset to start with, to begin with, because if you just go, we do want to hone in our character and who our avatar is and talk to that person. But it doesn't mean that you can't talk to that single person with multiple things, because that person has multiple issues. Yeah. So maybe still talking to the same person, or maybe it's a completely different avatar and you're still using attractive characters for that. So hone in your story, but you can still have multiple stories as well as you get going. Thanks for sharing, Zosh. I think it's important to take the time and sit and be with it and be visual with it. And otherwise, like Zosh is saying, there may be a big chunk that you're missing out on. And if you're getting old, like I am, then there's probably a big, you can often forget a whole decade. And there's a lot of people that you meet in a decade. And so the next point here in the attractive character is they really want to know that you have walked the same path that they are walking on now. That's a really important part, because as a guide or as a support, you want to be by their side and supporting them. So the next point there is you must become vulnerable and share your journey as to how you got to where you are today. And we talk about that a lot in doTERRA, and we call it in here, in the attractive character, your backstory, your history, yeah, your testimonial. Often we talk in our oil classes about having a testimonial. So what are the backstories that you can share to build relationships with your ideal customer? And then you want to tell them over and over and over again. Yeah. So I remember David, when he spoke to us in November, he spoke about Victoria talking about lavender over and over and over again, like it was the first time she ever spoke about lavender. So we just have to get so comfortable with our backstory, because it's your audience's probably first time that they've heard it. And if it's their fifth time that they've heard it, they will still hear something different out of it too, because people are really only listening 20%. Are you listening? So the next point is a parable. And so the best teachers in the world, you know, whether you're in church or whether you're in the pagoda or whether, you know, in the, where at university. So the best teachers in the world teach in parables, little stories, these little stories that stick with you and little concepts that stick with you, and they'll also stick in your customer's mind. So I don't want to go too deep into this, but I just want to throw that out there. So having some little stories in the back of your mind, some little ideas that will help the customer concrete that concept into their brain. So that's a really attractive character element, is speaking in parables, you know, not like Yoda. You don't want to be like Yoda all the time, but you can be a little bit Yoda-esque and throw out some Yoda parables. So let's move into the next one, which is our character flaws. So these are really attractive. So it's important to share your character flaws, because that's what makes you really relatable. And this is what's really difficult. It's hard to get to this level, because already we put ourselves out there by doing this, by going online, making ourselves uncomfortable and talking to a bit of plastic in front of us and hoping that somebody resonates with you, and opening yourself up to criticism, opening yourself up to be really, really vulnerable. But as a character element, we say that this is a character flaw, and not in a negative way, but you're doing it in a way that allows people to get close to you, to emphasize with you, to show some empathy, and to show them too that you are human and that you also have flaws. Yeah, because often online, how quickly do we put people on a pedestal, especially in doTERRA land with all these influencers? We think that they are there, but we forget that they've had this journey to get to where they are too. And they've worked really, really hard. They've worked really hard to get to where they are. And so everybody has some character flaws. So lean into them, get comfortable with them, and allow them to come out. And the more that you can just do you, this is what this is all about. The more that you can just do you online, the better. People will really warm to you, but it takes time, and it takes time to get to know yourself as well, I think. So the last point here in the character elements is polarization, polarity. So this is a little bit controversial, because it really talks about really knowing yourself and speaking your point of mind. So the problem with being neutral is that it's boring. It's like everybody else. So when you try to win the votes of everyone, you end up reaching no one. Yeah. So having an opinion is really important. So attractive characters are polarizing. They share their opinions on hard matters, and they stick to their guns. They stick to their ideas. They stick to their opinions. This will change your fans into die-hard fans that follow everything that you say and share your message. There's a few things that come into my mind this week with what's happening in the news, but we won't go there. So polarization. So if no one is talking about you, then no one knows who you are. I think that's a really nice point. Yeah. And so the last 2 points, again, a little bit controversial. It takes a little bit of time to get there, but it's time to step out of the neutral space and start sharing some of your opinions online. And I always say to my leaders in my team, every week, once a week, try to jump on Facebook Live. You have a free audience in front of you. You have a free broadcasting TV station in front of you. Just jump online and share something, whatever it is, books that you're reading at the moment, the weather. People just want to see your face, especially at the moment. If you can't see people physically where you're living, people want to see that you're alive and well. And we have a duty to share these oils with people. That sounded very Vietnamese. We have a duty. The last point is it's hidden underneath here. Sorry, I'll just go back. The last point is, are we there? Yep. Bring the things you care about into the open. Yeah, what do you care about? What's important to you? That'll also help you to find your audience who are your die-hard fans. Yeah, so we're talking about taking a lukewarm audience and warming them up and getting them know you and like you and trust you through everything that you put online. And not everybody will, but that's okay, because then you'll be talking to the right people. Yeah. Now, we're going to move into the next part of the attractive character, which is the identity. Yeah, so if we go back to that stick figure, there was 3 areas, and now we're talking about identity. So under the attractive character identity, there's 4 areas. And just before we move on, does anyone have any questions at all about the last section? Are we okay with the last section? We'll do a bit of a revision at the end. Yeah. So we're still talking about your brand and the message that you put out there and how you're talking to people. But now we want to talk about your identity. What role do you play? And when I read this last week, and when I sort of put it into practice last week and this week, it really made a lot of sense. A lot of sense. So identifying who you are, what character are you? Are you a leader? Are you an adventurer? Are you the reporter? Or are you the reluctant hero? Okay, so there's really 4 categories that your character can be classified as. So your attractive character will typically take on one of these 4 identities, and it'll shape how you communicate and how you interact and how you talk with your people, your audience. So, and the last 2 points there, if you are the adventure identity, tell the stories of your adventure. It's like going off on the first fleet and you find all these stories, and then you come back and you tell all these stories to everybody. Yeah. If you are the leader, tell the stories about where you've been and where you are going. Yeah. Think about Victoria for a moment. Yeah. She fits into that category for me perfectly. So now let's break these down. So the leader, lead your audience from one place to another. And this is through how you bring your voice online, how you talk, anything that you write, how you inspire people. So you're leading your audience from one place to another place, maybe through your backstory. I was here and now I'm here. You're showing people that it's possible. Most leaders have a similar backstory to their audience. Yeah, so then your audience is resonating with you. And the last point is here, usually the desired result has been achieved by the leader and the customers come looking for the same result. Yeah, so you're talking about some kind of backstory and some result that you've received, and then your ideal customer wants that same result. Yeah, does that make sense, everybody? Yeah, good. So that's the leader. Yeah, Zosh.
I was going to say that sometimes it might be difficult because to create your own character identity, it might feel, you might think like, you know, confidence wise, like, well, maybe I'm not a leader. Maybe other people don't think I'm a leader. Yeah. So what might be a good example, a good exercise is for you to ask feedback from maybe people that you know, right? So you might say, I don't know, you might come up with a very quick little quiz and say, you know, can you identify certain things, or you might ask for some feedback. Yeah. So then it gives you their character identity, because you know, as a mum, you might, your kids might, or people might give you a very different, mum friends might give you a very different character overview to maybe your work colleagues. So, and it's quite interesting. I mean, just to give you a personal example, my husband put out an email to a whole bunch of people.
Mm.
It was very brave before Christmas to sort of say, you know, just to give me some feedback. What are the things you think I'm strong at? What do you think I could work on as a friend? And I said to him, you know, I'm so proud of you to do that, because it takes a lot of guts. You got to be quite happy to accept that some people might come back with some feedback. And it's been some, you know, the people that actually replied have given him some really great feedback. So it's a nice little exercise if you're sort of not sure, you're a bit stuck as to who your identity is.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember we went through the exercise with Devin the Head in the ICANN Institute when we're doing marketing online. And we went out and we talked to people about to give us some feedback on our our spot of genius. And so what we brought to our audience. And I went out to a lot of people in my cafe and I kept those. And that helped us to write this part here, our character identity and what we can actually bring. And it really, because sometimes not sometimes, all the time, we're very self-critical, aren't we? And to get over that and to do this in a way that's really authentic without coming across as like a diva on stage with a different personality, you don't want that. You want when people meet you that you are exactly the same as what you are showing up here. And that takes courage. It takes self-confidence, and it takes really knowing you at a really core level, knowing yourself. So take time with this. You know, it's not going to come overnight, but these are some really good tools to help you strategize how to bring out your voice. That's all we're talking about today, is just how to bring out your voice. Tracy's in the house. So sorry, Tiff, I'm doing your job.
It pops up on both screens, so I think that's why. Like I saw it as soon as you said it. I was pushing it.
I'm trigger happy. So if we keep going through the leader, so have we been through all the points here? Yeah, so we talked about having a backstory and that your audience has the same desired, they want that same desired result as what you have achieved. So this is what a leader is. They're leading you from one place to another. The next point, and I really like this one, is the adventurer. And I see myself in this a lot. So they're really curious. They don't always have the answers, but they're happy to go out and find them. So they set out on a journey to find the ultimate truth, and they bring back treasures from their journey and share them with the audience, like dun, dun, dun. So I really love this idea of the adventure, and I'd never really thought about that before. So they're going out, they're researching. They'll be the first to put up their hand and say, I don't know the answer, but happy to go out and find it for you. And they're similar to the leader. So they bring back the answers and they give to the audience, happy to share with the audience. So this was a whole new world for me when I read this. I thought it's so fascinating that you can actually go out there. It's classified that it does have a term. You are an adventurer. You are going out there to find the ultimate truth, to bring back the treasures. I really like that line a lot. The reporter, you interview people. Yeah, we see this all the time on the news. So that's their attractive identity, is that they're interviewing people to share the ideas with the audience. They have a name. They're called the reporter. And it's more than just the action that they're doing. It's actually their title. So that's their character identity. So they're going out, they're interviewing people, kind of like the adventurer, and then they're sharing that with the audience. So one way of doing this is what Zosh did the other day. So she interviewed Joyce for her Healing Hands project. So she went out, she interviewed the person, got the information, and came back and shared that with her audience. So we're not saying that Zosh is a reporter, but for that moment, her character identity was as a reporter. But you may find that your main character fits into one of these four categories. I know for me, definitely at this stage in my life, that I am the adventurer slash leader, I guess. And then the last one I find really fascinating. I think it's a very humble character identity. They don't want any fuss made over their discovery. However, they know that the information or their secrets are so important that they must overcome their shyness and they must share them with the world. So I find these people really fascinating and really attractive. And I'm sure that a lot of people, a lot of you know people like this. So, you know, for me, you know, I'm always drawn to meditation and Buddhism. So I think always about people like the Dalai Lama and Pema Chodron and people that are just, they give up their lives on a quest, and they have this moral duty to share what they've learnt. And they also, the last point there is really fascinating. They feel really uncomfortable with the spotlight, but they feel that they have a duty, again, to share the information with the world. This is a really attractive quality in people. So they are the 4 attractive character identities here. So how are we doing so far? Everybody, you still with me? We're doing okay? Yeah, Tracy, you're okay?
Yes,
Yeah. Great, great, great. Good. Jump in.
Can I pop in real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Really interesting, Pete. I've never seen those 4 characterized like that, but it's like a map, right? It's not new. It just put it into place.
Yeah, exactly.
What's so interesting to me is when I am trying to be something that I'm not in those 4,
yeah,
it feels really off.
It was icky, yeah.
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 So that's so neat to say, you know, I would probably put myself into that leader category.
Yeah.
And when I'm trying to be the investigator, or the reporter, when I'm trying to be the adventurer, it just feels off. So just lean in and learn what it looks like to be exactly who you are.
Yep.
And run with it. So cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, cool. When I was reading this, I thought, wow, this is such cool information, just really made sense to me. And I thought it's going to make sense to other people too. And it's really easy to apply it to what we're doing, especially if you layer it with the strengths finder, you know, all the strengths that we do. I think I have the strengths book here as well. No, I've got the sales guide. But the doTERRA strengths book and the Gallup strengths finders, really, really great to layer this attractive character identity with your strengths. I think that'll actually help you as well to find where of these 4 categories you fall into, and sit with it. Don't say, oh, I must be here. Sit with it and just see what comes out through your writing. Yeah. So let's move on. So the last section here is talking about your storylines. And I love this section. There's 6 different sections here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6 different sections in here. So we're talking about your story. So we said that there's always a backstory. There's always a testimonial. You've always got a history. This is now some of the storylines and how to categorize those storylines, different types of stories. So loss and redemption. So sounds like a movie line. So this shows the upside of going through the hardship of your challenges. So I went through all of this, blah, 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 lost everything. And then this is where I am now. So loss and redemption. So I've been through that and this is where I am now. Start by talking about some level of success that you reached. Then because of some trial, you lost it all. You can do the opposite way. So I was really successful. And then I lost everything. Yeah, loss and redemption. And the last one, fans will hear by following you, they will experience something similar in their lives. Just, you know, we're not saying that by listening to you, they'll lose everything. We're saying that they will lean into your story of loss and redemption. Yeah. So this is one storyline that you could use. So loss and redemption type of story. The next one, us versus them. This is another version. So you want to use us versus them to polarize your audience. So a lot of that is happening in the world at the moment. So it's either them or it's us. So unfortunately, the type of people who will be successful as opposed to the type of person who won't do what you're doing, or won't do what you tell them. You either do this or you do that. You're kind of drawing a line in the sand. Yeah. So we see this a lot in politics. Next one is draw your raving fans closer and show them what they don't want to become. This is a kind of, I wouldn't use this version myself so much. It doesn't fit so comfortably with me. It's a very hard approach. But if it sits with you and it's an attractive character storyline for you, go for it. So this is a version of telling a story. Next is before and after. We do this a lot in doTERRA, don't we? So before I was this and now I'm this, a story of transformation. And we always say in our world, you want to lead someone on your journey. You want to show them how you have transformed through personal development, through growth. So the story of your journey. Every product or service promises a result, but the real question is, what was life like before you applied the result, and what does it look like now? So again, remember that when we're online, we're not selling the product. So we're not selling the doTERRA product. You're selling yourself. And that took me a really long time to understand with doTERRA. When I first started, I was taking all the photographs from corporate and putting them online, and just, it was very 90% doTERRA and 10% Pete. And it took me a long time to work out, and we've been talking in our leadership area, in my team, doTERRA is 5% or 10% of you, and you are 90% or 95% you. Yeah, so you are Tracy, you are Tiffany, 95%. And what you do is you choose to partner with doTERRA and you use that as a tool to get the result for your audience. It's one of the tools that you use, yeah? That's what sets you apart from everybody else. So that's the story that you tell, which makes you completely different to everybody else. And one of those stories that's really powerful is this before and after story. So every product or service promises a result. So Tiffany, you're selling Serenity, I'm selling Serenity. We're not selling the product, we're selling the benefit that our people will get from that. And the benefit that we're telling is this story. So when was the last time you slept great? So I couldn't sleep before I used Serenity. I put this oil on the bottom of my feet, and then you're telling them the result and the transformation that they have. You're not selling, this is Serenity, this will help you to sleep. Yeah, you can see the difference. So everything we're telling online has to be about the benefit for the customer. Yeah, and the last line, so what was life like before you applied, spelling mistake, the result, and what does it look like now? So the before and after, really attractive in our doTERRA land. The amazing discovery. So I like to use this a little bit. Every day you should be discovering new things that will help your customers on their journey. So this week I jumped online and Nourished by Pete Lifestyle, and I just spoke about a couple of books that I'm reading. And so for me, I use the amazing discovery. I've discovered these 2 books. I want to share them with you. So tell the stories about what you're discovering. Tell how it's helped and how it can help them as well. So I wasn't talking about oils. I was just talking about something that I found attractive to me, and hopefully my audience will find attractive as well, and just get them to know me and like me and trust me a little bit more. And the next one here is talking about telling a secret. And you'll see that these strategy sessions I've called the secret formula, because I want to share a secret with you to get more audience here. So the secret telling is, this is where I took this part out of the learning, the character storyline. So what secrets do you know, or what secrets have you heard from other people that you can share with your audience? So I'm telling you guys some secrets that I've learned. I've gone out, I've been the adventurer, I've picked up this information. I didn't write the information, I've just found it. And as the adventurer, I'm bringing it back, and I'm now sharing this story as a secret with you. Yeah. So you can kind of see how it all falls into place. A good secret can pull someone into this story more than anything else that you can do. Yeah, because we're sharing a secret. So, and want to know my secret? This is a really good way to start a subject heading. And I know Andrew Donovan does this a lot. So he uses this line a lot in his subject headings. So when that falls into your email, you'll want to open it up, or you at least identify and you'll see it. So they are the 6 different character storylines. We're doing well with the time, guys. Of how you can construct and craft your story. So let's just stop for a moment. I'll just stop the share. Let's take a breath. How are we doing? Sonia, you're okay? Yeah. So does
I
anybody?
love this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I just want to percolate thoughts in your brain just to get you thinking, because one of the hardest things to do, and I'm by no means an expert at all. I'm still learning, I'm still exploring, I'm still finding my way. But what I've really discovered in doTERRA land is confidence is key. And confidence you can learn, and confidence you can turn on. So before this call, I was jumping up and down, and I was doing my qigong, and I did my yoga, and I was slapping myself around to get the energy moving through my body. You know, there's a few of you want to slap me around, I know, but I do it myself. And so just to get the energy moving through my body, and then I sit down here. So you can turn on that confidence, and you can sit there, and this is everything that we do in Deb in the Head, is all about that inner voice. Do not listen to that inner voice. You know, you got to shut it down because it's brutal. So there's people there in your audience who need to hear from you, and they need to hear, how many people? We have 13 people here, which is fantastic. There's 13 different voices here, but selling the same product. Yeah, I can guarantee that we all go out there and we all sell completely different based on our character identity. And that's what we're talking about today. So I'm dying to hear what you have to say at the moment, anybody, whether this is triggering something in your brain, because this has triggered so much in mine over the past few weeks. I just really wanted to be the adventurer and go out there and share the treasures.
First question, Pete, is what's the name of the book?
Yeah, so this one's called .com Secrets. And I've got to get the dude's name right, because last week I said Richard Branson, and it's definitely not him. It's Russell Branson. And he's the dude that, maybe he's the adventurer that started ClickFunnels. Now this, I promised that this whole strategy sessions on this topic, every Friday we do strategy sessions on different things, but for January, it's all about talking about your identity, bringing yourself online, finding your voice, but we're not talking platform. Yeah, you can use any platform you like, but we're not talking platforms. We're just talking strategy. And then you take these strategies and you use them whichever way you want online. So Richard Branson is ClickFunnels. I don't, I toyed and I played with ClickFunnels, but it's not for me. But the information that he puts out, first of all, I didn't like him at all. I thought he'd had like 50,000 coffees. And I remember saying to Victoria one day, like, I think you posted something. And I'm like, I can't follow him. He's like running 1,000,000 miles an hour. But I think he's a genius. And I've sent Victoria a few messages over the last few weeks, just so excited with the information that I've learned. And I just have to share it. And at that time, I didn't know why I needed to share it, because I didn't really know what my character identity was. But I really know now at this time in my life that it's really the adventurer. And I like to go out there and find those treasures and bring them back to my community, whether it's you guys or whether it's my Nourished by Pete, community. Yeah. So anybody got some treasures they want to share?
Yeah. I have a thought.
That I honestly just had a phone call with Sonia, and we were just talking about how she can take the journey she's been on and turn that into her message. Yeah. And it's actually going to become a mission. But the timing could not be more perfect. Yeah. For her to identify what her kind of natural style will be to do that, right? You know, like if she's going to be the leader or the reporter, whatever it's going to be is okay. Yeah. It's just falling into your zone of genius with your message. And this was just perfect timing. So thanks for being the adventurer and bringing back your treasures.
Thank you. I love it. It takes time. You know, it just takes time for you to find where you feel comfortable. Ali, it's like what you said. You just, you know, when you're grading up against something and you're not being authentic, you know it's not you. But when you are in a flow, you know that it is you. And especially when people are resonating with that too. Ali, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, my thought was, I think that we can shift over time. When I was doing the podcast, I was very much the reporter. But then I found after, hundreds and hundreds of interviews that I had something to say. And then I was like, well, maybe I'm not the reporter anymore. Maybe I want my own voice to be heard.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. So I think honoring where you are and being open to change and growth, I think is an important part of the journey.
Absolutely. I know now that, at 50, I'm a little bit more wise than what I was at 30. And so I saw last year in Maison, a lot of people coming in and asking for advice. And these were expats who were living in Hanoi, who were faced with some kind of fear. And my personal assistant came up to me and said, this is like church. And I said, what do you mean? He said, this is confession. People are coming in and confessing. And I said, they're not sinning. And he said, no, they're coming in and confessing and talking to you. He said, this feels like church. And I said, well, that's great that people feel so comfortable that they can come up and just sit and talk to me. And last year, there was a real shift in what I felt was my character. And I felt, a little bit wise. And I felt that I had something to say. So I totally agree with what you're saying, Ali. I think you're like a sponge and you absorb information. And then you do find your little zone of genius. You do find what attracts you and what you feel comfortable talking about. For me, it's nutrition and food, and shifting people from a sedentary lifestyle into something which is something that they can apply to their life, which isn't overwhelming. And I want to encourage people to take those steps. It's taken time for me to work out what I feel comfortable with as well. So, and I do believe you do shift based on what circumstances you go through in your own life. And all of us at the moment, if you're mums, then you are experts at homeschooling. But 2 years ago, you were not. And so that zone of genius has just sprung up. So, hello, it all depends on,
Still not, I just expelled her. You're just going to repeat for however long this virus sticks around.
You're hard.
I stepped in. But anyway, go ahead.
So I think I've got one more slide here that I just wanted to share. I'll just bring that back up again. Share the screen. Can we see that? I can't. Is that on your screen? No, I'll stop that. I don't know where that went. So we'll try that again. Share the screen. Sharing. No. I might just.
You know what, Pete? I've had that happen to me twice now where I've tried to share and it's just a black screen, and just, one time it was with the Goddard. So that was really embarrassing, but I think it's a Zoom glitch.
I'm just going to
at the moment
close
where
it.
it'll share the first time and then not the second time.
Yeah, it's very strange. When I go to open it, it actually says that it's open.
Yep. You can see it. It's got the little green line around it. You're like, what's up?
Yeah. And then blank faces. I think I've got it.
Happened to me twice.
Let's try this. Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. I'll just get it to the full screen. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so the last point here, let's hope there is another slide after that. And there's not. So what I'm going to do is go right back to the beginning. I'll just bring up this slide. We'll go back to our stick drawing. So this is what we went through today, guys. So we talked about 3 different areas of your brand, which is you, your attractive character. And so it's the elements, the identity, and then the storyline. So these 3 areas is what we discuss. So under the elements, you talk about your backstory, talk about little parables, maybe Yoda in Star Wars, talk about different character flaws that you can bring out to make people really connect with you, that you are a real person. And then the last element we spoke about is polarizing. So not sitting on the fence, actually having an opinion. And then we went into the identity. So what type of identity are you? Are you the leader? Are you the adventurer? Are you the reporter? Or are you the reluctant hero? And this is kind of what Ali was saying. You know, she was the reporter for some time. And then she realized she actually has, you know, something really important to say and tell people. So moved into that leader category. Reluctant hero, I see that coming on further in life with more life experience, or maybe you're just born like that, who knows. And the storyline is how you tell your backstory. What sort of character identities do you bring to your storyline? So those 6 different topics we talked about. So the loss and redemption story, us versus them, before and after that transition, and then those other 3 as well. So I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed this topic a lot. Maybe I'm just really geeky, but I just found that it just really helps you to zone in and to focus a lot more. And it really helps sitting there with your pen and your paper and just writing things out. And guys, I have this week written notes and notes and notes on just my attractive character. And I scribbled things out. I went back to again, I scribbled it out, and it really helps you just to sit in it for a little while, because you want to really have what you're saying. If you're going to sit there and talk and talk and talk online, you want to make sure it resonates with someone. You want to make sure it hits with someone and lands. Yeah. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. And all of our time is pretty precious at the moment. So honing your voice through this attractive character, I think, is really powerful exercise. So there we are. That's the treasures that I had to share today with you. So if you want to unmute, and we can have a bit of a chat if you've got a little bit more time up your sleeve. Michelle, I'm so glad.
Hey, Pete. Oh, hey, Pete.
Hey, Yvonne.
This is Yvonne. Hey. Thank you so much, as always. I just want to ask a very quick question.
Yeah.
Are you gonna share the slides to us, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I just. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Tell me. What were you going to say?
What? Yeah. It's just really good. I have so many thoughts, and I'm walking on the street. Yeah. So I just want to, digest a little bit of all the information, which is so great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you have your big Alaskan coat on today in Shanghai?
No. We have we have a temperature roller coaster in here. So today is 18. The highest is 18 degrees.
Oh, wow. Okay. Big difference.
Yeah.
I just remember you last week, and you had
yeah. That is -8. Yeah.
I'm glad that you could make it today. I'm glad you could make it. So what I do every week, guys, after this call, I will post this into the link, and I also put these the slide deck as well with all of the notes. So last week when I looked at the stats, we had 65 people watch the recording. So I'm so pleased with that. And there's a lot of information in this. And so make sure you can go back and you can watch it again. Victoria, you wanted to say something?
Yes.
And look, I have a little raise my hand feature. On the .com secret website that Tiffany posted, I believe.
Yeah.
If you scroll down a little bit, you can get the hardcover book for free, but it's $9.95 shipping and handling. Yeah. But it's a nice hardcover. Yeah. I know that some of you aren't in the right market, but if you want to ship it to my house, and I can, if you're in China, David will someday get to go back, and Vietnam, I have a way to ship, right? Or you guys could ship to your own freight forwarding, but just wanted to let you know that the book is free shipping and handling. But
I wanted to know why it was free, and so I went through the process, and I went through the sales funnel because I wanted to learn. Yeah,
they're going to sell you something at the end of the free book for sure.
Exactly.
Be strong.
And so it's a massive, aggressive, brutal funnel, and he does that for a reason, because he wants to train you in the book. So go through. It's $9.95, so I did that. but I couldn't wait for 45 days for my shipping. So I downloaded the audiobook. So that's what I'm going through and doing the audiobook. But he teaches you through the sales funnel, and he references that in the book. And the book is what I'm going through now and giving you all the little treasures out of. So you can get the book and do that and sit on your bookshelf and refer to it. Or you can just sit here and listen to the treasures here. But it is a brilliant book. I'm finding it so, so fascinating. I'm actually enjoying listening to him as well. I need to, maybe it's just my English is not so great at the moment, but I need to drop the speed of his voice down in iBooks because he talks so fast. So
which is unusual because I usually have to speed people up because I'm like, come on.
Exactly. But he does talk very fast and he gets very excited. But he's really nerdy and geeky, and I think he's a genius with what he does, an absolute genius. So there's so much that we can learn. And he teaches us, this is the first book. I think he's got about 5 or 6 different books. And he also teaches us why he does that $9.95 offer. That's really fascinating. That's his opt-in. That's his opt-in funnel. Because then once you opt into the funnel, he says that if you offer something straight away for somebody to buy something, even if it's just the $1, he offers something from $1 to $99 straight away. And then he finds out who are the freebie and the freeloaders and who are the ones that are going to buy something. Because if you think about how you shop online, you're scrolling and then something grabs your attention and you land on it and you stop. And that's because at that point in time in your life, there's something that's important to you, maybe sleep or digestion or whatever. And so you stop and you land on that because you have a bleeding neck. You want a result then and there. So if you grab them then and there, maybe they will buy something. And that's why they have all of these interesting checkouts at the end. And I could never understand why you go in entering to buy one thing in the shop and then you leave with 5 other things. So the funnel experience is exactly as shopping in a shop. And when he had that analogy, it really made sense to me that if you treat your funnel like you're opening the door and you're stepping inside the shop and then you're shopping down the aisles and you're looking at things, and that's your story. That's your one-page landing page is you shopping down the aisles, yeah? And then when you go to the checkout, you see the gum sitting there and you pick it up and then you buy the gum and you don't want the gum. So that is an upsell. So the upsell in the checkout is all of the things, the magazines that you don't need to buy, the gum that sits at the kid's eye level. You know, that's how I picture my sales funnel to be. So I'm really good at breaking things down and making it really simplified and just so my brain can understand it. But if you can use the same analogy that you're stepping into your favorite shop and the sales assistant are the ones telling the story, which is the backstory. So they're telling you about the product as you go through the shop. And Michelle, you will know, every time you step into a shop in Vietnam, there's somebody breathing your air before you finish breathing it yourself. And so I always find that I race into the shop and I move all the clothes around on one rack. So then they have to go and fix them up. And that gives me small breathing space to run over there and to look at something without them being there. So they are telling you the story, the backstory. So that really helped me to understand what a sales funnel is all about. It's just a bricks and mortar shop that's been moved online. Really simplify it down. Yeah. How are we doing, everybody? Any last questions before we run and have our evenings or our days? Sonia, I'm so happy to have you here. So exciting. So nice to have you join.
I'm so happy to be here, and I was thinking about what you just said and what I spoke with Victoria, and it all made sense all of a sudden. I'm actually trying to think what I feel I am, like which identity, so which of the, maybe a leader and then reluctant hero, I don't know. Because sometimes, is it possible to be all of them at some point? Like a reporter and then...
Possibly if you're talking to a different audience, yeah. And you want, the ultimate goal is you want your message to resonate with your audience, yeah. And so if you are taking the hat of the reluctant hero, but your audience doesn't resonate with you, it's not landing. And so, you know, for me, the reluctant hero is someone that has a lot of wisdom in my mind, who's telling a story, still that story of transition, moving that person along.
Yeah.
Thanks, Victoria. Thanks for joining. And so your story needs to land with your audience. Ali, is that how you see it as well?
Yeah.
I think it,
well,
I think it has to land with you.
Yeah.
Right? If you're going to show up, it's so hard, at least for me it is, to show up consistently online, that if it doesn't land with me, I'm not going to do it. If it's not congruent, I'm not going to do it. So I think it's okay for you to shift, but as long as you are being congruent with who you are and where you are in this particular season, or heck, on any particular day.
Being authentic to you, yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think that's when you mentioned the polarizing bit. At the beginning, I realized I didn't want to admit it. It's actually a good point, because we are actually living in a very polarized world, politically speaking, and it's not good. Or it doesn't feel positive, right? So how positive it is to be polarizing. But then I realized that because of all this, of the situation right now, I think it's important that we stand for something stronger, and then we actually put our foot down and say, look, no, I don't agree with this. I believe this and this and this. Or, you know, like, for example, right now, I'm actually, one of my thing that I've discovered that I'm very passionate about is hormonal education, or hormone education in schools. There is no sex education, is very focused on the wrong things, not the things that really will help you later on in life. We have women that have no idea of how their cycle is, and hormone speaking is taboo, menopause is taboo, period talk is taboo, everything is taboo. So I've been, you know, I'm realizing, okay, I think, and especially in a country like Colombia, or like a continent like South America, and well, whole Latin America, it's very Catholic, very hush hush, and very there are things that we don't talk about, but the people don't have the information. They're missing. They come to menopause and then they don't have that information. So I feel that's where I feel like I'm the reluctant hero when you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Like, I need to talk about this. I need to tell people, hey, there is information that's important for you to know, to have, for you to make conscious decisions and have a better wellness, and you know. So that's when being polarizing is positive, like really going against what other people.
Absolutely. I think what you're saying is really important, and it's you can be polarizing but still do it in a way which is, for me, I would have to do it in a way which is soft and gentle and humbling.
It's
not about
diplomatic.
Exactly. You can't do it this way. So absolutely, you can do it in a very diplomatic way. So polarizing means to have a strong opinion about something and to talk about that because you really firmly believe in that. It's not talking about your approach to it. It's more just talking about having a strong opinion. And I think that's important. You don't want to sit on the fence too much, because then people, how do they connect with you as an audience? So thank you. Thanks for sharing. So guys, I'm just conscious of everybody's time here. If there's any last little thoughts.
Hey, Pete, I just want to echo real quick, thanking you for recording these, because there's a lot of us that are on the go at this time, but it's so great for us to be able to go back. So thank you. And the replay was great from last week. But I'm going to hop off here. You guys have a great week. our
Lovely.
weekend. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye.
Everybody, thank you for joining us. Conscious of your time. We're back next week with another topic. We've got a couple more weeks. I'm just really hoping that this sits with you and you've got some information from this that you can apply into finding your own voice and coming online. Just sit with it and just see what comes out of it. Lovely to see you all. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Lovely. Lovely to
Bye.
see you all.